Earlier today, December 3rd, 2023, police responded to the 1600 block of Lawrence Avenue Southeast at approximately 11:30 a.m. for a well-being check of an individual. Officers located an adult male victim with what appear to be critical stab wounds in the residence. Roanoke Fire and EMS pronounced the man deceased on scene. It's unknown exactly when the homicide occurred, but is believed to have been as early as midweek of this previous week. At this time, I'm unable to identify the victim as we are in the process of making notifications of next of kin. Later today, December 3rd, 2023, officers were seeking to interview and locate a suspect in that same homicide that had occurred on Lawrence Avenue. At approximately 4 p.m., officers observed the suspect in that homicide. I believe earlier we talked about that being a person of interest. That is our one and only suspect in the homicide, walking in the 3000 block of Melrose Avenue Northwest, and attempted to stop the man to speak with him. The suspect immediately produced a firearm, and shots were exchanged between several Roanoke police officers and the suspect. One Roanoke police officer was struck by gunfire. That officer was transported to Lewis Gale Medical Center by Roanoke Fire and EMS for treatment of what appear to be serious and life-threatening injuries. The suspect was also struck by gunfire and was pronounced deceased by Roanoke Fire EMS personnel at the scene. There is body camera video that captured the incident. I have personally viewed that video, and it shows that our officers acted heroically when they approached the suspect from that homicide, and he fired upon our officers. I will not be releasing the names of the officers at this time. We'll do so at a later date after they had the opportunity to ensure their families are aware of the incidents. In accordance with department policy, the Virginia State Police were notified and will be investigating the officer-involved shooting incident. We, the Roanoke City Police Department, will continue to investigate the homicide incident from Lawrence. The officers involved will be placed on administrative leave per department policy. Virginia State Police will be releasing further updates to this investigation, at least as it involves the officer-involved shootings. So, I'll take any questions. Limited number of questions from y'all.
Is the officer still at Lewis Gale? Can you answer that?
So, yes, she is still there. She was recently released from surgery and still in critical condition, but she is doing much better. Thank you for asking. Much better than we initially thought.
I was wondering, why was the community not made aware of the homicide that happened earlier that led to this suspect being on scene here in Melrose County?
You know, Isabella, I don't have a great answer for that. You know, that's probably something maybe we need to work on. I know that we developed a person of interest very early on. All right, we believe that person was connected to our victim, so possibly that's one of the reasons. And then we will do better in the future. We knew that it was not a random act, and there was no public safety nexus there.
Do you know the name of the man that was shot dead here?
White male, 39 years of age. That's all I can release right now.
Now you said there was body cam footage. Will that be released at any point?
We'll determine that at a later date. Like I said, we're working this with our Virginia State Police partners.
And how many shots were fired?
I don't have the number of shots. Several.
Who called in the well-being check?
I believe it was a neighbor. Don't entirely. I know you're quoting me on it because obviously I'm talking to you, but it was somebody that was connected to the actual victim that was found. So officers found the victim in that deceased state.
Can you share any details? I know again it's under investigation by the Virginia State Police. Can you share any details if the officer who was seriously injured, if she was one who fired the gun?
Yeah, I can't, because it's so early on, and, there was body-worn camera footage that I did review. I wanted to do that before I came out here and talked to y'all. But I will say this, is I am very proud of how our officers acted, and I believe that will come out in the Virginia State Police investigation. This is a very sad and traumatic day for our community and for members of our department, But as a new chief, I've been here about 35-ish days now, to realize that I lead a department that can take fire like that and still act heroically. I witnessed officers rendering a life-saving techniques to our officer and potentially saving a life there. So, once again, very proud of how they kept their coolness under fire. Horrible incident that happened to our officers in our community. I never want that to happen. I hate to stand up here before you and talk about this, but the review of the footage showed me that I have a lot to be proud of.
And I know,
all right.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I
Go
know
ahead.
it's early in the investigation. Do we know how the original homicide victim who was stabbed to death and this person who was shot over here by officers, how they kind of relate?
Yeah, we do, and I'm not going to, because the next of kin haven't been notified for both of those parties, I believe. I can't reveal that, but it is a strong connection there, and that's another reason why early on we realized, once we developed our person of interest, there wasn't a threat to public safety.
So it wasn't random?
Correct, it wasn't a random incident.
Chief, I know that this is one of the first officers being hurt in the line of duty in recent times that we've heard of. Can you talk a little bit about that and how your department is doing?
Yeah, and once again, Isabella, good question. Thank you. There's a level of compassion with that question, I think, and sometimes we forget about officers every day that come to work in a community with so many opportunities, but some challenges, right? And we see one of them as a police officer when you put on your vest and uniform and your badge, and this can happen. And I talked to the shift about an hour ago, and I met with the officers involved in this and have been to the hospital and connected with everybody involved. And, one word comes to mind, and it's really heroic. And I am one that I will tell you, as a police chief, I can be sometimes critical on our profession. I look at myself as consistently and constantly trying to find ways that we can improve ourselves, because I think the community deserves that. But what I've seen is really the best of the best. I've seen officers that came in here on their days off just so they could help their shift, so they could help their department. We've got members of our sheriff's office out here helping us at this scene. I don't think you see that in every community. So I'm so proud to be the chief here and to see a department that's rallying around, not just an officer that was shot in the line of duty, but the entire department and for what they're going through. So very, very happy with that.
Chief Booth, have you been able to connect with the officer's family?
I have. Yeah, and I stayed at the hospital. I went to the hospital first, and I did talk to the family members, and they were certainly they were concerned about their loved one. But we have had an outpouring of support early on, as we should, when an officer is injured in the line of duty. So I think they felt that. I hope they felt that, and we'll continue to show them that for sure.
Chief, any comment on the car that came through kind of later after the shooting? I think they was taken away when Roanoke Police Department car.
Yeah, I've got no info on that. I'm sorry. I don't know if we'll have more on that we can release later. I got nothing on that.
Chief, of course, we've seen multiple shootings just this week. Seems like a little bit of an uptick, unfortunately, in the number of gun violence incidents. Can you talk a little bit about the state of our community right now?
Yeah, and Isabella, I get that a lot, of course. And I think as chief, I had a lot of success in Danville, reducing violent crime specifically. Had a great team, and I will say 35 days in, I feel like I have a great team here and a great community. So even though we're having, a spate of gun violence, and in this case, stabbing incident or what have you, we were having a violent year. Overall, statistically, we are still down, even in violent crime. But we're going to do some things, and we've already done some things in how we respond to our non-fatal shootings, how we respond to homicides. Sadly, even though today's incident ended with one of our own being shot and also another loss of life, the fact that we rolled out resources early on and identified a suspect early on didn't just happen through conventional means. I mean, we're very robust in our response now, and that's relatively new. That's within the last 30 days. So I'm a true believer in a couple things. I love community engagement, you see us out there talking to the community, sharing with the community, and that's a big part of building trust. But nothing beats good old focused police work, right? When you have an incident, when you have a homicide, you go out there and you respond and you catch the bad guys. And also another way to reduce crime is you get out there and take guns and drugs off the street, and we're doing a lot of that. So I am very optimistic that even though we're having some challenges this year, we're going to have a much better next year. So here's to 2024.
Chief Booth, that leaves me talking about community engagement. I know you guys did a community walk not too long ago after a shooting. I know you're very well known for doing that in Danville. Are you planning to do one?
Oh yeah, and we'll get a release out there on that. You know, we'll do a reset. Normally, our reset group will deploy out to an area where violence has occurred. And here, you know, we have to look at we have two incidents, right? We have our officer-involved shooting right here on Melrose, and then we have the homicide from Lawrence. So we'll make sure we address both communities. All right. Thank you all. Appreciate your time tonight. Okay. I'm getting old. Don't get that. No. Stop.
That's the one time
I am old.
What?
Still alive. These two are easy. And the other two are 10, so they'll make it back to the same.